Welcome to an episode of r/Entitled Parents, where we share stories of moms or dads thinking that because they have kids, they are entitled to everything. Kick back and enjoy what we're about to share with you, and at the end, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, on to the stories. And this story is posted by u/ITZD4NK. Entitled mother claims that she has connections to my dad. So this happened a few months back before the pandemic. Cast: me is me, EM is entitled mother, EK is entitled kid. So I used to work at a local shop owned by my father, and I used to help out sometimes, and business was usually busy but not crowded in the shop. I have never had any customer come on with such a caring ego as this woman. EK was being dragged behind EM, clearly not wanting to be here. The conversation went as follows. EM: excuse me. Me: yes, ma'am. EM: my child is dehydrated and in terrible pain. This clearly was not the case, as the child looked fine and not pale at all. Me: okay, ma'am, just find the drink and come and bring it to the counter and I can scan it straight away. EK: Mom, I'm thirsty. EM: don't worry, darling. I'll get you something in a minute. They walked off and came back with a Pepsi and a water. EM placed the drinks on the counter and said to me, as I usual expect these drinks to be free. Me: excuse me, ma'am, but why would that be? I'm not familiar with my father's discounts. EM: I'm married to the owner of this shop, of course. Which she clearly wasn't, because my dad has a wife. Me: ma'am, that is wrong. You are not married to the owner of this shop. EM: of course I am. How would you know, you little spit? Me: ma'am, I am the son of this shop. I have a mother, and that mother is not you. EM looks shocked and then attempts to steal the drinks from the shop. Luckily, we have a security officer on the door managing people coming in, and he stopped EM in her tracks. He called the police, and she was arrested, and the child was safely delivered to the father. I'm just glad I'm not the him. The kid was a nightmare. And this story is posted by u/directed accordingly. Entitled mother thought I was faking my disability for attention and almost made my injury worse. This happened when I was 10 years old. I was playing in the local park with my 3 older brothers, Jake 11, John 12, and James 14, and our neighbors, Cal 10 and Craig 13. We all were laughing, having fun, when John had the idea to play a game in the roundabout. The game is pretty dumb and dangerous, but really fun back then. It involved 5 of us holding onto the outside poles as one of us pushed the roundabout as fast as possible. We all had to hold on for dear life or we would get flung off. Last one holding on would win. We all ran up to the roundabout and got into position. My brothers thought it was a bad idea for me to play because I have a joint disability, later got diagnosed with HEDS, but because there hadn't been an incident for a while, they let me play. I held on, wrapping my legs and arms around the pole along with Cal, John, Craig, and Jake. James began pushing the roundabout really fast, and we were all screaming and shouting in excitement. For me, the screams of joy turned to screams of severe pain as my leg had dislocated around the pole. As the roundabout spun, it was slowly pulling my legs apart, and it was agony. James realized what was happening and immediately grinded the ride to a halt. Everyone was panicking as they couldn't move me, and any attempt they made it more excruciating, and I screamed louder. In a panic, James, John, and Craig told Cal and Jake to stay with me so they could run and get my dad. They didn't know how to fix it, but thought my dad would be able to get me off the roundabout with minimal pain. They ran off, and a crowd gathered of parents and their kids to see what was going on. The parents did try to touch me, but Jake and Cal explained that I have a disability and the others are getting my dad who knows what to do, adding that moving me might make it worse. A lot of the parents looked very concerned, with some of the kids looking really confused as I looked like I was just sitting there crying. Enter the entitled mother, EM, and her spit of a daughter, EK, maybe about 12. They approached the group and asked what was going on, and the other parents explained the situation. EM immediately said how ridiculous everyone was being and saying that I am clearly just trying to get attention by the looks of things. Cal was with me, patting my back, telling me I was going to be okay, while Jake was telling the other kids not to be mean, as they supposedly were saying the same as EM. EK then told EM how she wanted to go on the roundabout. EM telling her to hold on a minute and approached me and Cal. She began telling me to get off the roundabout, and Cal said I couldn't. He tried to explain that our siblings had gone to get my dad, but EM ignored her. She told me to get off again before grabbing me and trying to yank me off. I screamed in pain again, begging her to stop, but she just responded, "Stop being overdramatic and get off." I felt an intense pain like never before in my legs and was crying uncontrollably, trying to hold on to the pole. EM kept telling me to stop being a baby and stop faking it and let her little baby on. EM pulled me with a lot of force and I fell onto my back with my legs still around the pole. Cal started screaming for Jake, and Jake ran over and tried to tackle her, telling her, "Leave her alone." EK then jumped in, telling Jake that I was an attention seeker and tried hitting Jake, saying to leave her mom alone. At this point, EM was trying to drag me, and the other parents saw my leg. Now, it was visibly obvious that my leg was dislocated. The other parents jumped in and dragged EM away from me as she was screaming, "She's faking. She isn't disabled. She's faking," as the other parents, along with Cal, tried to put me back in my original position. EK ran after her mom, crying because Jake did end up hitting her, according to Jake. The other parents stayed with me, Cal, and Jake until my dad arrived while telling their kids to play on other equipment. EM was still screaming and shouting about how we are attention seekers while EK cried for her mom. James, John, Craig, and my dad arrived and ran over to me with my dad gently unhooking my leg from the pole and carefully, along with the other parents, carrying me to a nearby bench. My dad told me to do the brave trick, and I started biting onto my sleeve as my dad popped my leg back into place. He thanked the other parents for their help, and they told my dad what happened to EM. He was fuming and asked them where she was, but when he looked round, he saw EM and EK running out of the park. EM must have seen my dad's face because he looked like he was out for blood. After my leg was popped in, I stopped crying and thanked everyone after calming down a bit. They all wished me well and went back to their kids. My dad carried me out of the park and took me to my mom at her work. She was a nurse, and Jake told our parents everything. They were horrified, and my mother said that if she kept doing what she was doing, she could have caused me serious injury. I never ran into EM or EK again, but my dad told me that if I ever saw her again, to call him immediately. Edit. My dad did try to track EM down, but was unsuccessful. I also changed Jacob to John because I realized what I did. Jake and Jacob. Oops. Edit 2. For all the people wishing me well, thank you. I'm 25 now and would say that I am pretty lucky that the condition isn't as severe as it could have been now. I can go about my daily life fine, but I do own a cane, knee supports, and now supports for my wrists that go around my thumbs for the bad days. The bad days could result in pain and difficulty. If my legs dislocate now, the aftermath of the injuries can take up to a year to recover. Unfortunately, it now affects my hands, elbows, and other knee. It used to just be my right leg, but still living life. My elbows and hands don't dislocate, but feel tight sometimes. I do have a bunch of stories about the days I do go out and the supports on with my cane. Edit 3. LOL. Hello. You know who you are. And this story is posted by u/elm1774. Entitled Mother Trespassing to My House. Cast. Me is me. My dad as MD. Entitled Mother as EM. Entitled Kid as EK. Well, let's go to the story. I have a big back garden that is flat and that will bring the neighborhood kids to my house before we moved in, and after that we have to explain to a lot of Karens why their precious angels can't play in our yard, and since we also started growing some vegetables and fruits, strawberries, some of the kids will come and steal them. So now let's actually start with this. I woke up late. My parents had taken my sister to a Girl Scout activity, and I start hearing noises coming from our deck. When I move the curtain, expecting to see a bird or a squirrel, I see a white woman and her son. Me. Who are you? And what are you doing here? EM. That is not for you to know. You are probably just a squatter leaving here, so F off and leave us alone. EK. Yeah, F off. Me. Who do you think you are, Butch? I live here with my parents, and you, Butch, are trespassing, and if you don't effing leave, I'm calling the cops. I see my dad's car and hear the garage door opening. EM hears it too, but makes a run for it, but she trips with the water hose. I notice she is carrying a basket with strawberries, tomatoes, and some of the herbs we have. Me, you dirty thieves, get the hell out of here. My dad opens the door and sees the woman and asks me in Spanish, MD, who is that? Me, she is a thief. I found she here with her son picking up our crop. MD, you have 5 effing seconds to go before I call the cops. EM gets up and grabs EK by the arm and flees. My dad takes a picture and sends it to the HOA. Some days later, we found out she was a member of the HOA and she lost her position. Those were 3 great stories. To hear the best stories of the week, click on the video in the top left-hand corner. To hear more Reddit stories all related to what you just heard, click on the video in the top right-hand corner. If you have not already done so, click on the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Once again, this is TNA, Top Notch Audio. Thank you for listening and have yourself a great day.